Hey everyone, James here, and welcome back to the Gamefree YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to take you through my experience of playing video games in university for 32 hours straight. Now, I didn't sleep, I didn't eat, I didn't even leave my room or get changed out of my clothes. I just sat there playing one video game for 32 hours. Now, I actually learned some surprising things from this experience, and make sure you stick around for the whole video for some useful advice in case you're going off to university and some of these things apply to you. And just a reminder, some spaces have opened up in my Gamefree coaching program, so if you want to learn more about that, just click the link below, book a free discovery call with me, and we'll see if there's a place for you in the program. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, I've spoken to countless people about video game addiction, and almost everyone I've spoken to has the same problem. Things are okay in school, but once they go off to college or university, that's when the problems really start to come about. They no longer have the responsibility of maybe their parents, their teachers, and their friends all day. They've got so much free time, more responsibility, more financial responsibility, and they never really built the discipline to know what to do with it. They can't just sit down and say, I'm going to get a task done. I'm going to work for 3 hours and that's it. And that was my problem. And in university, I would play video games every single night until around 2 or 3 in the morning, and then I would start doing my coursework for the next day. Literally every single piece of work I had to do was finished between the hours of 2 and 5 a.m., about 5 hours before it was due, for the first year of my university experience. Genuinely, it was crazy. I would say no to social events, saying I've got work to do, and I'd just go play video games. I would slack off on my lectures, my coursework, and my any event, any necessity that I had to attend. I would just play video games instead, and I'd come up with some half-assed excuse to get out of it. And as a result, I didn't sleep properly, I didn't eat well, I didn't have a good diet or exercise, my mental health really declined, my physical health, all these things, and I really destroyed my university experience as a result of playing video games. But there was one point during this time when I sat down to play video games one weekend. It was a Friday evening, and I was in the middle of a Dark Souls 1 playthrough, and I don't know, I kind of thought I was near the end, and I thought I'd just play until I finish, play until I kill the last boss. And I kept playing, kept playing. Suddenly it was midnight, and then 6 in the morning, and then noon, it was 12 p.m. the next day, and I was like, I've got to be getting close to the end, and I just kept playing. I didn't stop for anything. I didn't even... Luckily I had a bathroom in my room, like an ensuite, but I was so captivated by finishing this game. I was so intent on it, and I had committed so much more time already, I thought I might as well go ahead and finish it. Well, it wasn't until 32 hours after I started did I finally see the game over screen for Dark Souls. I had completed it, and I emerged from my room like some crusty goblin that's been holding the One Ring for 200 years, and the light coming through the curtains, all this kind of thing, and it was really interesting. Now, I was surprised, actually. I thought people would be blasting me and like talking about how stupid I was, and I don't know what I expected. But I lived on the same floor with 7 other people, and the girls in the flat were really concerned about me, actually. No one had heard from me. They were going to call security on campus to see if I was okay, although none of them actually knocked on my door, so they could have just done that. But the guys, my friends, who were also gamers, they congratulated me after finding out what I'd done. They were like, oh man, that is so cool, like, congrats, this is awesome, 32 hours is such an amazing amount of time to play a video game. And even people I've spoken to online are like, man, you've got to pump up those numbers. Those are rookie numbers, amateur gamer. And at the time, I didn't think anything of it. Obviously, looking back, my views are very different, but right there and then, I just thought it was a normal thing to do. I didn't even consider that video game addiction was a real thing. I wasn't addicted to video games. It wasn't even on my radar, which is, I mean, if you're listening to that and you're thinking, how can you play 32 hours straight and not realize there's a problem? Well, that's what I'm going to go into now. So when you're playing video games, you're in this heightened state of stimulation. You are getting so much dopamine, so much reward for your brain, and your body doesn't really know how to react, basically, when you play for this much time. Things start blurring together, time goes very quickly, and you convince yourself that you're closer to achieving something than you really are. And something that comes into play here is called the sunk cost fallacy. And it's something that gamblers are very familiar with, and even people who play, who are addicted to video games, they have the same thing. And once you've put enough time into something, you don't want to stop doing it, because then it feels like all that time has been for nothing. It's been a waste. And I see this with gamers who want to delete their gaming library or stop playing video games. They think, oh, I've put so much time, like thousands of hours into these particular video games, I can't possibly get rid of them. I can't stop playing. There's just been so much time invested. And this is kind of what I was feeling at the time. I'd already put like 12, 16 hours, which was probably a normal session for me sometimes. What harm is another few just to get the game finished? And then 20 hours comes and you think the same thing over and over again. And because your brain is being like bombarded constantly by all of this reward, this dopamine, it's almost like you're feeding it a constant stream of drugs for hours on end. And it completely destroys your ability to think clearly. It makes you clouded in your judgment, distracts you. And especially when you're not eating or sleeping, that just adds to the distress that your brain is under. And it kind of goes into survival mode. And it thinks, right, well, right now I'm getting a lot of reward from this. I better just focus on this and keep doing it. And you kind of tunnel vision onto this one thing without considering how it might be affecting everything else. And how did it affect everything else? Well, my mental and physical health, in the moment, didn't really change. I wasn't particularly tired, I wasn't hungry or anything like that. I didn't feel like I needed sleep or to shower, and I probably stank. And so, to begin with, the negative effects weren't exactly that big. And this is one of the biggest realizations that I've had now that I'm reflecting on it, looking like, I don't know, 7 years on from when this happened. Now that I'm looking back on this experience and I can think about it from an objective third-party point of view, I realize something that I wish many other gamers could realize, and something that I had to take a long time to figure out, and has really been the key to me quitting video games forever. Like, once I understand this, the ball just dropped. Like, it was a huge realization for me. But you have to internalize it. And this is that while the negative effects of gaming, whether it's gaming for this long, like 32 hours, whether it's playing video games for 2 hours or 4, or even just at the weekends, while these negative effects aren't inherently that strong in that short space of time, the positive effects are zero. That there is no positive effects from gaming. You don't get anything from it. How many times have you sat down for a mammoth gaming session or looked at your playtime for me, it was Path of Exile. I had thousands of hours in that game. And then I looked at what I'd gotten from it, and it was nothing. There was no tangible, like, I couldn't grab anything that I'd achieved. I didn't have money, I didn't have a trophy, I didn't have any achievement from this. And at the same time, this false sense of accomplishment, coupled with overloaded dopamine receptors in your brain, causing you to feel less excitement in all of your other activities. It's why we feel less pleasure from activities outside of gaming, whether that's playing guitar or riding a bike or going for a walk, photography, whatever it might be, other hobbies aren't as interesting to you anymore because your brain is so overloaded from dopamine, like, oh, so overloaded with dopamine from playing video games. That's all it wants to do. So even just a small amount of time playing video games has a negative impact and no positive impacts, and is actively hurting the things that you actually want to be doing in your life. And at the time, I didn't realize this. I was 30 hours into the gaming, and I was struggling against the final boss for hours, and the end was in sight. But I didn't think about this. I didn't think about what it was going to do to me a day from now, weeks, months, and the negative impact it would have on my university experience, or my relationships, or my hobbies, or anything. All I was thinking about was the there and now. Like, it was that tunnel vision that I mentioned. And we think 2 hours here and there is harmless. We think a 10-hour session is harmless. When in reality, it is not. Gaming, once I realized that it had no positive impact on my life, that's when I was able to start making the changes and really understand my addiction to video games in a way that allowed me to quit and become truly free of video games once and for all. So that's my experience playing 32 hours straight. Maybe it resonates with some of you, maybe you can see that kind of pattern occurring and you'll want to shut it down before it starts getting out of control. And if that's the case, and if you want to learn how to quit video games forever, like I mentioned at the start, just book a free discovery call with me, see how I can help you, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, any questions, any thoughts you have about this, maybe it's your own personal experience. I'm happy to help however I can. And until next time, thanks for watching. Take care.